got to be kidding.
The great.
What's good, guys? Prince Sports here. This is the way, coming at you with another one. Ever since Denver Nuggets won the championship, a lot of talk was, where does Nikola Jokic fit? Where does the Joker, the king of Gotham City, ranks amongst top 10 centers of all time? So let's get into that a little bit. I figure, hey, why not? Let's talk about some centers in the NBA. So I'm going to go off my top 10 centers of all time. Then I'm going to go off everybody else in between the mix, okay? You got Joel Embiid, the Jokers, all of those guys, right? We're going to go with those guys second. So my top 10 is Kareem, Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, Shaq, Hakeem Olajuwon, Moses Malone, David Robinson, Willis Reed, George Mikan, Bill Walton. That's my top 10 greatest centers of all time. Now, another guys that could have cracked that list, but there was missing a few things. You got to understand what two things that value a superstar player. Winning, which is team accomplishments, winning a championship. You need a championship to be on this top 10 list, period. Okay? You cannot be on this top 10 list without a championship. That's like, having a degree. It gets your foot in the door, all right? Individual accolades are great, but you need the title with those individual accolades. So I look at individual player dominance with those accolades. Then I look at, did those accolades lead to team success by winning a championship? All right? So let's take a look of some of the guys. You got Joel Embiid, superstar player, got some individual accolades, no chip, can't come on here. Patrick Ewing. Now, Patrick Ewing got no chips, individual accolades for being an all-star countless years, but he's disqualified from this list. Matter of fact, Patrick Ewing is not even the top 50 player of all time. Top 50 players of all time for me got to be guys that were franchise players, multiple-time all-stars, and won championships. If you have won a championship being the number one on your team, numero uno, the best guy on your basketball team, you deserve to be in the top 50. All right? No matter where you want to put them at, that's the top 50. Now, from 51 to 60, 51 to 100, that should be the guys that were individually great, but didn't win championships. So you get tier 2. Tier 2 is 51 to 100. Tier 1 is franchise players that won championships. Top 50. 50 of them. Now, basketball's been going on for a long time. So you got Dwight Howard. Is he on that list? Can he crack it? No. Now, if Dwight Howard won a championship in his prime, he'd be on that top 10 list. The guy is arguably one of the greatest defensive bigs of all time. Dwight Howard, Mutombo, and Bill Russell are three of the greatest defensive players that played the 5 position of all time, arguably. Okay? It is what it is. Bob McAdoo. Bob McAdoo could score, right? Great basketball player as well. But nope. Robert Parrish. Interesting one. Robert Parrish won 3 championships as an 8 to 9 all-time All-Star. Okay? So, Robert Parrish was playing with 2 other Hall of Famers, which was Larry Bird and Kevin McHale. Those are 3 Hall of Famers. Now, being the fact that Robert Parrish was never able to be a Finals MVP, Robert Parrish was never looked upon for being the best player on a Boston Celtics. If he was the best player on a Boston Celtics, I would have probably put him in that top 10. And if he stole a Finals MVP from Larry Bird, he would have definitely been in that top 10. But as far as I'm concerned, he was a number 2 or a number 3. But great basketball player, dominant. All right? 9-time All-Star, you can't get bigger than that. Mutombo, no chips, one of the greatest defensive players of all time. 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. He does not get on that list. He got no chip. So, those guys, respectively, some people may say are better basketball players than the Joker. because they had to play up against other bigs that had more competition. Then you got Joel Embiid and the Joker seems like two guys that could perhaps crack the top 10 because of the simple fact that this is such a hard list to make, because it's not a list for everybody to make. Basketball's been going on before I was born, before a lot of people was born, right? So it's hard to think that in 2023 that you could squeeze a guy in a top 10 best for his position. He would have to do something out of this world, you know. He would have to do something that stands out. And to me, here's the shocker. I think the Joker did something that stands out. He got the stats. He has almost video game stats. Regardless of what era, he still got the stats, okay? And he led his team to an NBA championship while being the number one. He got more than one MVP. Now, rather do I think he deserves it or not is another argument for another day, right? But nevertheless, he still got them, and they're still on his resume, right? So by default, the Joker could either be 11 or right there at number 10. So who comes off my list at number 10? I think I would have to probably pick. This is hard. It would either be Bill Walton or George Mikan, but I can't pick over George Mikan too much because George Mikan's a 5-time NBA champ. That was his team. So if they was giving out finals MVPs back then, he would have been on there. Okay? They wasn't giving out that award then. So sometimes when you're looking at these older players, you got to understand that some of these awards weren't even available at the moment. Okay? So the Joker could crack that top 10 list. He could probably move Bill Walton down. You know, I wouldn't mind having him on that top 10 list to move Bill Walton down. So I would say Bill Walton will come down to 11. And the Joker slightly cracks that top 10 list. Slightly cracks, okay? But prime for prime, a guy like Dwight Howard was more dominant than the Joker. He was a clear top 5 player in his prime. He was just missing that chip to be on this top 10. So the Joker, he earned the right to be a top 10. But I think it stops with him. Because I don't think, even if Embiid wins the NBA championship with a scoring title that he has already and an MVP already under his belt, I still don't think that's enough to crack the top 10. Even if he wins finals MVP and he's the leader of his own basketball team. Because the list is now getting a little too crowded. All right? It's hard enough to pit Joel Embiid over these top 10 guys that I have because they are multiple time champions, franchise players, right? So you're going to have to win more than one championship to crack this top 10 and stay on there for good. The only guy that gets a little bit of a pass is the Joker for the simple fact that he won it in such dominant fashion in terms of stats and numbers that you may have to pit him on the top 10. And he got 2 individual accolades to back it up. He's a 5-time NBA All-Star. And he got started off to a quick start. But you could either pit him there at number 10 or pit him at number 11. Okay? He's like floating between 10 and 11. Even with this one championship, though. You know, regardless of the fact that he was damn near dropping a triple-double. Something that most bigs don't do. So that alone, with the fact that he kicked some of the greatest basketball players of all time, he kicked their ass and took names. Yeah, he might just hit that top 10 at number 10. So Bill Walton, bop, you go down. This is the way. Sports out. Peace.